Our topic is AI meets finance from payment to predictive operation. Our AI is no longer just a buzzword, it's a transforming the entire financial ecosystem from simplifying everyday payment to predict risk, detecting frauds, and even forecasting market trends. AI is helping financial systems to become more and more smarter, faster, and more reliable. It's truly the era where technology and finance work hand in hand to shape the future of money. We have the speakers and moderators here with us. All right, now I'm inviting the speakers on stage. Please join me as I call their name. Let's give a huge round of applause. The first name which I'm calling, I might take a little longer to pronounce his surname, but I am sure I'm going to do this right. Mr. Rajesh Muthuramalingam. Have I said it right, sir? Yes, thank you. I'm practicing this since morning. Senior Vice President, I am so honored to invite him on stage, Global AI Delivery and Purple Fabric, GTM Intellect Design Arena, Mr. Ahmed Bashir, CVP Engineering, DevRev. Can we have a round of applause, please? Mr. Rajagopal P, Head Digital Payment Solution and Agentic AI Payments, India and South Asia Visa. Mr. Jain, Head of Assets and Liabilities Operation, World Bank. To moderate this, I would request Mr. Vikram, Head of Research, Veranium Next Gen Fund. Let's give a huge round of applause. As we begin this session, I know there are very few people, but I am pretty sure, meanwhile, while we end this session, there will be many of them to be a part of this. So over to you, sir. Looking forward for this lovely session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. So let's start this amazing panel that we have, right? And the topic also is very interesting. And when we talk about the age of AI, everyone knows what is happening there. So the idea behind this panel is to understand and discuss different perspective in this specific area of how AI meets fintech, right, or finance in general. So I think I would ask each and every panelist to briefly introduce yourself, and then we will start. So starting from you, please.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is not as hard as it sounded. It's pretty easy, actually. Rajesh Muthuramalingam. Me and my team are accountable for building. Telling my name again. But yeah, so me and my team, we actually build and productionize AI agents, and we've been doing this for the last, actually, nearly 18 months. So we've got lots of AI already in production for our financial services clients. That's me.
Good afternoon, everyone. Ahmed Bashir, CTO for DevRev. We are a company that's looking to really find that intersection between enterprise and AI. Think of us as ChatGPT for your enterprise. We are 750 people strong now. We're a freshly minted unicorn based out of Palo Alto, California. We have 8 offices worldwide, going on 9 later this year. And we're very excited to be here.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rajagopal. I lead digital solutions and AI solutions for India and South Asia for Visa. Visa is a payments network company, and very excited to be here to talk about Visa's view of the world as far as agentic AI's payment play is going to be.
Hi everyone, my name is Akinchan Jain. So I also have a complicated first name, and I often joke that my name is Akinchan. I'm a distant cousin of Jackie Chan. But I lead the asset and liability operations team at the World Bank Treasury. So the World Bank, for those who are not familiar, we are an international organization. We are owned by 189 member countries. Our mission is a world free of poverty, where there's high levels of shared prosperity, and we want to do that on a livable planet. So World Bank achieves its mission by providing development financing. We also do a lot of technical assistance. India is the largest borrower from the World Bank, and many of the projects here in Mumbai, so whether it's road projects, rail projects, urban water sanitization projects, many of them are financed by the World Bank. So thanks for being here.
So brief introduction from my side as well. I'm Vikram Pandya. I am also director of Fintech and AI initiative at SPGen. Also, I run a fund called Veranium, and we do invest into fintech startups, deep tech startups. And the idea today is to discuss with all this panel member how they look at, right, the world of AI and how it meets fintech as we know it. And I will start with you, right? And you have seen so many different AI initiatives people talk about, and in general, when you look at AI, different innovations, how people are using it, what are certain points which excites you versus you are somewhat careful about certain things, right? So maybe you can start, and all the panel member can share their thoughts on this initial part, right? It is a
Yeah, thanks for that question, Vikram. So, I'm in a practitioner role, so I think I actually find AI super exciting. So I know there are risks around it, but that's not been my focus. So, what excites me about AI is three things. So, firstly, as an end user, right? We have always at the World Bank Treasury we manage about 250 billion in assets. We raise about 80 billion in funding every year. So we've always had large reams of data, right? But what AI has enabled us to do is to use both not only the structured data, but also the qualitative unstructured data to be able to generate fresh insights. So that's one key benefit. Secondly, in the past, for anything we wanted to do as business end users, there was this heavy dependence on our IT organization, and they were very resource constrained, but now with AI, there's a certain democratization that has happened. So we are able to do things which we were not able to do before. And then lastly, many of the use cases that we have deployed, and I'll share those later, what we find that the problems that they have addressed are actually problems faced by the entire industry, right? Whether it's any other issuer in the markets, whether it's any other investor. So AI has helped us develop solutions which are very scalable.
Hey, hi Vikram. So Visa has been at the forefront of enabling payments worldwide for the last 7 decades, right? If you think about it, payments is the heart of commerce. And our interest in AI is we've always been using AI for a few years, more in fraud detection and prevention, more in the AI ML context. Where we now are seeing AI as the next unlock is in the agentic AI context, right? So very simply put, shopping assistant that can save you a ton of time, right? So if you think about the genesis of commerce, 70 years back, it was about face-to-face commerce. 30 years back came e-commerce. Face-to-face commerce, the human was on both sides of the equation, on the buyer side and on the seller side. 30 years back, it was human on the buyer side and the software on the seller side, which is the merchant. Now we are talking about a human authorized software initiated on the buyer side transaction, which is AI initiated, which will interact with the machine on the other side. So, which is the agentic AI commerce, or in short, what we call it as agentic commerce for payments, right? So this we believe is going to unlock the next wave of payments and next wave of growth and opportunity. Why? Because when e-commerce came in 30 years back, it did free up so much of the time for consumers, which at least for those who don't like shopping saves a lot of time, and for mundane activities it does makes it easier. Now the next level of this thing is that when you have agentic AI coming in and your agent within the safeguards that we put in box it with, if the agent can go in and shop on your behalf within those ring fences, we do think that that's going to reduce the cognitive overload that humans have for those purchases that we don't really pay, we don't need to worry about. So that's going to unlock productivity and therefore it's going to unlock commerce.
great. Ahmed, over to you.
Yeah, I would say, the year started with some seminal papers about reasoning, bringing reasoning to these models. And I think that was sort of the first step in what came to be a very exciting year as we started to understand that the sensibility that you and I have had and have brought to our business, to our product, has now been sort of delegated down to agents, right? And so we're going through this major unlock where you're going from the ability of 20 or 30 million developers to speak the language of the machine, to be able to instruct the machine using esoteric programming languages like markup and markdown, SOAP, REST, C#, Python. We're going towards a world where you have hundreds of millions, if not billions of people who can speak in their native tongue and converse and effectively instruct the machine to do whatever they'd like. And these machines are not just the machines of before. They now have the sensibility they can take information and then start to do the types of things that common knowledge workers would do before. So the ability to prioritize, summarize, bucketize, categorize, classify, these are things that the new AI, starting with where we are today, is already able to do quite well. And of course, it's able to rationalize way more information than humans can. And so when you put it all together, this ability to bring sensibility to these automatic workflows, the ability to have way more reasoning at the model level, and then of course our capability and our even bias towards now starting to push some of this information down to the machine, I think is going to give us an opportunity to start to design new software that helps us serve our customer better and build better products.
Okay. And, Rajesh?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that was said which resonates with me as well. But I think there are a couple of things I wanted to say, right? One is, starting from an enterprise perspective, it's really exciting to see how much opportunities is there. So there's a lot of pent-up waste in tech and operations with financial services organizations, right? This is where Agentic AI is going to truly unlock that potential. And that's where we have our own platform where we're accelerating that journey. But I think I'm just going to take a step back and just look at it at a slightly more sort of broader perspective, right? I mean, the thing that excites me and scares me at the same time is how quickly things have changed, right? This is the first technology that's gone from experiment to the hands of the user in the least possible time in the history of humanity, right? I think that should excite us and scare us. I think the excitement there is, obviously there's a ton of opportunity, but nobody can look beyond the 2-year horizon at this point, if that. So I think that is exciting, but the silver lining there is, I think the ecosystem you see here, right? The fact is we are able to respond to that as humanity. We're able to sort of look at something and say, this is fantastic. Now we're going to leverage the hell out of this, right? I think that's kind of where the opportunity is, and I think the scary bit is we don't know whether we'll do a good job of it. Hopefully we will, right? I think that's kind of how I look at it.
So I personally believe that it's a perfect summarization of what people think, right? So when we look at overall new opportunities which AI brings, whether it is in finance or otherwise, typically what people are able to judge is that, okay, I'm able to do X, Y, Z, but many use cases are not available to the end user directly. It is also the behind the scene, like operations, efficiency within what you currently do, right? That also is something which translates into lower cost, increase in revenue, the way you can do your, let's say, marketing, all those things, right? There's a sum total of all those use cases. But apart from that, when we think about the cascading effect that it might have, right? When we talk about the error rate that one agent can have, and then it can translate into cascading effect of multiple agents and so on and so forth. So whenever we talk about the error side of it, the risk side of it, the way it can hallucinate. So looking at the current level of maturity, right, which are some of the use cases that you would say that, okay, it is, at least for me or for my organization, we are able to identify and take it to the production level versus I would, let's say, put on the back burner and maybe I will wait and watch, I will try to see if the technology further matures in that area. So starting with you, Aki, what are your views on that?
Yeah, thanks, Vikram. Actually, so just teeing off from what you were describing, right? So we have, in the last year, we've gone live with 3 different use cases, three deployments of AI for different use cases in our treasury setup. They fall into 3 categories again. So one is either we're using these to enhance our portfolio returns, or we're using them to reduce operational risk, or we're using them to create efficiencies, right? So I'll share one example of where we've been able to enhance our portfolio returns using AI. So just to take a step back, right? So today we are managing about 250 billion in assets. We are a fixed income shop, so we mostly invest in high grade fixed income, so bonds. And our volumes are very high, right? It's about 5,000 trades a month. So now when we invest in a bond, now we never had the resourcing to be able to have people sit and look at kind of the bond sort of final terms documents and book them in our systems, right? And so what we were doing was we were using third-party data providers automatically doing a pull, set that security up in our systems, right? But we also now manage cash very, very closely, right? So meaning every day we look at what are our inflows and outflows, what is the expected cash to be available at the beginning of the day. We make that available to our portfolio managers to invest, right? Now, if there's a data error, right? So for instance, let's say we have set up a bond with New York business days, but it actually has New York and London business days. So I was expecting 100 million to come in today, which I've already made available to the portfolio manager to invest. But now it was a London holiday, which we had not captured. So now we won't get the 100 million. So therefore, through that investment, now we are in overdraft. Now, interestingly, in the early 2000s to 2010s, interest rates were very low, right? So these things would generally not get detected. But we are now in a higher interest rate environment. So if you look at a 100 million bond, if you're off by 1 day, right, at a rate of 8.5%, that can cost you $25,000 just for 1 day, right? These things always happen on Friday, so you get affected for 3 days. So what we did was we were looking at how can we solve this problem. And so in the past, we were looking at just pure OCR, right, optical character recognition. But the problem was when we were buying bonds from dozens of different issuers, everybody used different conventions. So somebody would call the trades, where it starts would be the start date, but another issuer would call it the effective date. So OCR would fail in those cases, right? So then we looked at, there were some digital platforms, some fintech providers who were providing a digitization strategy from day one, from the beginning, but we were not comfortable putting all our data up there, right? So for data security concerns, we couldn't use those. We issued last year and the year before a couple of blockchain-based bonds, but those blockchains were run by market infrastructure providers, which were sitting in the middle, so that didn't solve our problem as well. So enter AI, we were able to basically just very quickly over a 5-6 month period develop an internal platform which uses AI to extract data from these term sheets, create a golden copy. And then we use that to reconcile against what we were getting from third-party providers. So the results have been fantastic. We were able to find several bonds that we had in our systems which didn't have correct data. That has improved our cash planning, improved our investment returns. We've been able to share this with many other private sector and public sector asset managers, and they've reaped the benefits of this as well. So this is just one example how we have been able to deploy this.
Oh, that's great. So you can see that the way it can be used to identify the unstructured data and then you can process it, right? It can be really useful. Over to you, Raja, what are your views?
Thanks, Vikram. So from the world of hardcore finance to the consumer payments world. So imagine this, right? So you're at home and you're thinking that it's time for a vacation, that I need to take my family for a vacation. And you decide that, okay, so I have a budget of 1 lakh Indian rupees and I want to travel next month and take my family along with me, right? And then you go to your trusted consumer-facing AI agent, give it the instructions, and I'll peel the onion a bit later. I'm just painting the picture right now. And then boom, you sit back. The AI agent goes out there within those safeguards that you put it in and shops on your behalf. It searches, it discovers, it knows everything about you that it needs to know in a personalized manner. It knows your preferences and it completes the consumer purchases that you would want to make that vacation happen for your family, which would include hotel booking, flight booking, even up to travel insurance. And when we talk about hotel booking, flight booking, or whatever your preferences are, including your dietary preferences, that is the end stage goal that as a use case that we are working towards. Earlier in the year, we unveiled Visa Intelligent Commerce, which is our product program meant to leverage and support Agentic AI as a use case, primarily with consumer payments, also with B2B payments. Now, what I spoke about was the end vision. Now, within that, there are multiple, I'm not going to talk about the boring product part, but the safety features that we have built in to ensure that this Agentic AI commerce works well is what is important. We don't think about it as a product that we have launched. We think about it as a program that we have put out with the principle-based framework that we think will be required for a safe and secure and a seamless AI commerce payments going forward. And why we think, where is the confidence stemming from? Visa has done this for the last 70 years. So e-commerce The framework on which today, for example, the OTP that you get before you finish a transaction, the 3DS framework that EMVCo uses, Visa wrote the first draft. Similarly, therefore, for AI commerce, the framework that we are putting out there, we believe is going to keep the ecosystem safe while ensuring the convenience and the full power of AI is unlocked. And why that is important is that we think that if industry leaders like us do not take the leadership position, and while we are excited with the opportunity, we need to put the safeguards in place. And there are 3 big safeguards that we have put in place, which we have called in detail in the, it's out there in the YouTube, but 3 things that we are safeguarding consumers from. One is about unauthorized use by the agent. 2 is about misaligned intents, right? You ask it to do X, it goes and do Y, either knowingly or unknowingly. And 3 is about data breaches. And our framework that we have put together protects the consumer in all aspects. For example, it says that every agent AI agent who will act on behalf of the consumer will first be diligently onboarded by Visa with all the framework with which we vet an entity that interacts with us, because it's not going to be a Wild West out there. We will first onboard the agent. And along with the onboarding of the agent, there is also about every payment credential that we allow an agent to use has to be tokenized, which means that no one else but that agent. So there is no question of a malicious agent intercepting the transaction. There's no question of that card details floating in the ether which can be misused. So tokenization for the unversed, every e-commerce transaction that happens in India today happens on what is called tokenization, which is about replacing the sensitive card number with a devalued data token. In the case of payments, it's payments token. So AI agents will be entrusted only with a token that is connected only to that agent, so nobody else can use it. Number 2, the principle of human in the loop will always be respected and enshrined into any such solution. So the human has to actively decide to save her card with the trusted agent for future use, and with every transaction, the human has to confirm that she wants the agent to go ahead and do this transaction. So first is about ensuring, therefore, the diligence in onboarding only trusted agents into the payment ecosystem. 2 is about ensuring the human is always in the loop before, after, and during a transaction, which is through authentication solutions like what we call passkey. Passkey, as we all know, is a FIDO-based authentication solution. It's used for identity management. We are also going to use it for payment authentication in the context of Agentic AI. And third is about enriched data, right? So we will do a 3-way match. By that, till now, when you do a payment at a physical merchant, you don't have a 3-way match. But in the AI world, so when I say 3-way match, I mean the consumer says this is what she's told the agent to do, which is basically in the form of a consumer telling us that this is what I've told the agent to purchase on my behalf. 2 is the agent tells us that this is what the consumer has told me to go and buy. And 3 is a merchant tells us that, hey, this is what the agent came and told me. So this level of unprecedented enriched data has never been seen in the payments world before, which we are ensuring that we will collect, match to reduce disputes, to prevent frauds. And so this is the way we think that the framework for any AI commerce solution needs to be put out there, and we are leading the way with that.
That is great. And just to summarize and just to give the global flavor as well, right? So what is happening when we talk about agentic commerce as such? So just think that you are chatting on ChatGPT and you tell ChatGPT that, okay, I want to purchase this. So it is human present kind of a discussion that you are doing with the agent, right? So it is just the agent to begin with. You have a ChatGPT, you are asking that please purchase this. And that is one category of transaction, right? Another category is that, as he mentioned, you are trying to book a flight and you don't know whether the flight ticket goes up or down. You don't have that kind of a visibility when it will go down and what is the lowest number, right? So you just instruct your agent saying that, okay, whenever the ticket price is below this amount, please book it, right? And then here the human is not present, and as and when that event happens, that trigger comes, you will entrust that agent to book the ticket on your behalf, right? That is the category 2. It is still agent-led transaction, but the third one, which is agentic commerce as we call it, there you require sub-tokenization as well, right? So you are telling the planner agent, for example, that you book entire holiday for me, right? And in his example, when we talk about book holiday for me, that planner agent will require multiple different sub-agents. Let's say one will book your flight ticket, one will book your hotel ticket. So you have a aggregated limit approved by the human, and then sub-agents will use those sub-tokens which are available from the consent acquired from that human, right, during that. So that is the 3 level of discussion that we are talking about. I have just summarized it for you, right? But that is the overall commerce that we are talking about, agentic commerce, and you require that trust layer, and that is what Visa is building, right? Over to you, Ahmed.
Yeah, thanks for going through that. So the use cases, at least from our vantage point, have been very broad. We're spanning both front office and back office. If I just focus on fintech, we're seeing everything from trying to understand how to be almost unreasonably hospitable to the customer in ways that, and maybe a human agent wouldn't necessarily be able to reconcile all that information and perhaps spend as much time going through all that info to be able to figure out where the problems are, perhaps being that much more proactive. We're also seeing back office use cases where, the example that we saw here about giving all this information to ChatGPT, generally speaking in a more professional settings, particularly with fintech or other industries that are regulated, you have to make sure that there's a meaningful sort of scrutinization around what information is being shared, or the context of the person, access provisions, also understanding where the source of the information is, whether it needs to be replicated, deduplicated, cleansed, or even synchronized. And so all of these things are, parts of our platform that are being leveraged for all sorts of use cases, not just the enterprise search use case, but also being able to then find answers and act on them through workflows. A lot of these workflows have to do with customer success, customer support, but also even in the background, being able to do things around field sales, being able to do things around developer productivity, being able to do things around product engineering. So there's a lot of, I would say, creative and functional use cases spanning both front office and back office that we're seeing. Generally speaking, I think the value proposition that we see from our vantage point is this ability for the AI, for artificial intelligence, we call it team intelligence, but for this intelligent mechanism to reconcile information so that the identity of the person that's involved, the work that they do, the customer they serve, and the product that they build, for these things to be related. So that referential integrity, which AI can do a really good job with because it can sensibly make sort of conversational understandings out of this information, and also it's able to navigate large swaths of information that you can bring into memory. And if you're able to do that using the right connective tissue, you're able to create the right context and answer these questions better than most technologies that people have traditionally used to do similar things. Generally, what we see is people will look at it and say, you know what, am I able to reduce customer effort? Am I able to reduce employee effort? Am I going to be able to see a better NPS score? Am I going to be able to raise my CSAT? If the answer is yes in the front office, 9 times out of 10, they're willing to give it a go, provided that you have the right human-in-the-loop characteristics that we heard as well. So that's in the front office, and in the back office, very similar conditions. What is the tedious work that's getting in the way of the deep work? Everybody's trying to figure out, if we have savvy, we have know-how within the enterprise, how do we get it into the hands of everybody? So everybody has a chance of being at their best. That's the team intelligence part. Second is, how do we make sure that we remove a lot of the tedious work so people can get to some of the more deeper things? I mean, we always talk about the Peter principle, where people fundamentally are getting paid to think. We have a lot of leaders in this room. We have a lot of leaders here in the panel. We are paid to think, but oftentimes we don't have time to think. And the reason is because there's just so much work that gets in the way. We come in on a Monday and we want to take care of some really, really important topics. We want to move the needle on the product. We want to serve a very critical customer. And what happens is you have to go around clicking on links, messages. You get references to systems, like 12 different systems, and you got to go click and choose and select and do all these things. And what we want to do is, and what we're seeing our customers take advantage of, is the ability to actually have all of that information get rationalized for you, so you can really just kind of focus on thinking and making those bigger decisions.
That's great. And I think you were describing the product that you have called Computer, right? DevRev Computer.
Right.
So coming to you, you have the Purple Fabric, and how do you look at that platform play that you have built, right? And how do you look at the innovation that it brings?
Yeah, so I think, before I talk about Purple Fabric, which is our enterprise AI platform, I think there's the way we approach this is, we've been solving business problems for financial services for the last 3 decades. So our starting point is quite different. So we kind of applied our first principles thinking to say, we have to build a platform that's going to help a lot of customers in scaling AI So AI is going to be commoditized, right? There's going to be lots of platforms and technologies. But the challenge is scaling AI. How do you make the enterprises adopt and scale? So, we broke down the challenge and we said, look, we have to do this for personas in financial services. There's an ops team, there's a risk team, there are people who make decisions at various stages in that journey. So we kind of broke it down. And when we created the platform, we kind of had those personas in mind. We had every stage in that journey. We've obviously done technology transformations in the past. And many of those things still apply in Agentic AI, right? So when we actually built that platform, it's almost first principles thinking, saying we are serving financial services customers. There are personas, and we need to solve problems quickly and scale it. So the whole thing is predicated on that, right? And so so obviously we got the platform, but we've actually built a lot of use cases on the platform already and productionized them. So our first multi-agent use case was productionized in, I think, September last year. In fact, the first one was probably the hardest we picked, which was we actually reimagined how financial services companies do complaints management end-to-end. So this is where we have such a huge opportunity when it comes to reimagining how things work. So if you take operations, any banking operations, it's stuck about 2-3 decades from the past, right? They haven't moved on at all. So, they're still running operations the way it is run it in 2000, right? So we thought, why are we adding on just a bolt-on to solve some part of that problem? Why don't we reimagine the whole journey end-to-end? So what we said was, we went to one client and said, look, we know you have a complaints problem. Do you want us to solve it end-to-end using Agentic AI? And we did get commissioned to do that. And we actually built that in about 2.5 months and deployed it in production. So what that does is, from the moment a financial services complaints comes in to the point where the final report is generated and handed over to the human in the loop right at the end, the whole journey we kind of reimagined using Agentic AI. And this is multi-agent solution, 20 plus agents working with each other, all orchestrated using the technology provided by our platform. But that's a multi-agent example, right? So we have about a dozen multi-agents in production, and tens of single agent and sort of less complex use cases in production. And again, the way we see it is, it's a scaling problem rather than an AI problem, because AI is the newest technology, and we need to scale that to solve that problem at scale for our customer, right? So that's one example. And there are plenty of examples in terms of what we built on the platform. But I think if you just take a sort of a 10,000 feet view of what sort of problems we're solving, at this point, there's a lot of emphasis on, obviously, back office ops. But actually, anything ops and risk management is where the huge opportunity is at this point, right? We still need to make decisions. Senior leaders in these organizations need to make decisions they can actually rely on. At the same time, they need to take cost out. And there's a lot of spend on OpEx. And they want to move that into CapEx. Right? They want to spend money on technologies for, like Ahmed said, for front office and experience type use cases, because that's where you actually derive long-term value. But the problem everyone has is they're all spending so much money on OpEx. It's really important to help senior leaders in this industry to take OpEx out and actually redirect that back into CapEx, right? I think that's the opportunity we're sitting on. So there's a whole bunch of ops and risk opportunity, especially in BFSI, which many organizations are now beginning to take control over.
So that's great. So we have seen 4 different use cases that they have used for. So from World Bank perspective, how they are using it for optimizing the performance and identifying errors. We have seen agentic commerce, how it works and what kind of new thought process is happening, right? As we all are going to use that in future, so you should know definitely. Then comes how the controls are built in the way you can use the tools efficiently, both DevRev and you have Intellect talking about that. Now, finally, quick thoughts, right? So very quickly for entire panel, what are your views just for the future trends, etc., whatever you have in terms of your own views, right? When it comes to technology and the society impact that it can bring, the skill gaps which might be there, the jobs which you believe are going to get redefined or redesigned, right? Whatever it might be. Please go ahead, starting with Aki.
So again, I feel I feel very optimistic about this. So so when kind of ChatGPT came out a couple of years ago, right, 2-3 years ago, we immediately saw a number of opportunities. Now we had the option to go with a vendor, right, and use a vendor-based solution. The challenge for us was in the World Bank construct. I mean, we have very strong controls around procurement and all of that, right, and that process itself can take several months, if not years. And kind of, I had this feeling that, well, if we, technology is moving so fast, right, so we have to be nimble and agile, right? So we took the decision that, hey, we will implement this in-house. Now, of course, we are a business team, so we are not a technology team. So what we did was we were able to onboard some new talent with data science backgrounds, and we put together teams with a combination of folks who had data science backgrounds and those who had the core business and finance background. And that really helped us develop a solution very quickly. So what I would say is, again, this is, a lot of, in my conversations with my peers, I find people feel, well, these are, AI is in the news, right? And you hear about $1 million salaries and all that, and people say, well, I don't have access to this talent, right? And what I want to say, encourage all of you in this room, is that, no, it's not rocket science. And that's the beauty of AI, is basically it's giving us, the end users, the tools, right, to be able to deploy these. So I'm just very optimistic. I think any process I see in the organization, I see there's a use for AI. And right now we are a growing organization. So for us, it's not about getting rid of jobs. It's more about how AI can help us do more that we traditionally would not have been able to do.
Perfect. So we have two key takeaways. One is that, okay, AI is empowering so that you are able to use it more and people can do whatever earlier they could not. And another thing is that you require now cross-functional teams working together. You require that sort of in-house talent also, which can always bring in the technology and business together, right? That is the key takeaway. Up to you.
Yeah. So, all of what he said, in terms of internal, but external, I just want to say two things, like what is the data saying and what are consumers saying, right? So data is saying, from whatever we have seen, is that there is a significant surge in the number of website hits that merchants are getting from these agentic AI platforms, right? Like this is so which means that consumers are beginning to look at these agentic AI consumer-facing platforms like OpenAI, Anthropic, Perplexity, etc., as a starting source of information, and based on what they are saying, they are able to go from there to there. And secondly, there was some research that we had done in the US. It's anyway new field, so globally we'll have to do more. And nearly 2/3 of the respondents mentioned they were using Gen AI, and half of them mentioned that they are keen to do commerce based on using agentic commerce. So there is a lot of, therefore, positive momentum going in the tailwinds we have towards. We got it back. So therefore we are very excited. At the same time, we have been at the heart of ensuring that a standardized commerce, which runs on standardized payments, is always critical for ensuring safety, security, and seamless growth, because it's, at the end of the day, it's about money, it's about payments. So we have to, as Visa, we've taken as a responsible innovator role in this. And so we are putting out the standards out there, which we will work closely with the banks and the consumers and merchants on this side to ensure that these agentic AI payments are not just seamless, they are also safe and secure.
Perfect. So again, if I were to summarize, right? So when we talk about any kind of commerce, right, and we are looking at new channels which were not there earlier. Now these new channels are AI agents, whether we talk about chatbots, whatever it might be, right? So with these new channels, you are talking about the payment experience is also changing, and this new payment experiences will require new set of rules, security, and everything. So that is what you are building. Over to you, Ahmed.
Yeah, I'll keep it brief since we have 2 minutes. What we look forward to now in the next coming years is just greater speed, greater accuracy, and just higher levels of personalization. So I think we can all expect that from AI. The technology behind the frontier models may continue to evolve, going from the transformers we see today to something that's going to be even more interesting, that's going to even be able to better understand what to pay attention to as it pertains to languages. I think we're going to see way more assimilation of information across domains. So you might see information that's textual combined with information that's video, other types of media. You're going to start to see more of this information available closer to our edge, to our laptops, to our personal devices. And so I think it's going to become even more private when it's available locally. And I think there's going to be a tremendous amount of opportunity to create better and better governance around this. I think we're just at the very vanguard of understanding how to create new guardrails. And I think that's going to be good for fintech from an adoption standpoint, to be able to do that much more to keep it safe and governed.
So personalization, as well as making sure that it is going to have a scale, and it should be able to then understand the nuances, right?
Absolutely.
Great.
Yeah, the first thing is, where can I get that $1 million salary? But look, the thing is, I think, at a personal level, I mean, AGI in my lifetime is quite exciting to look forward to. But more closer to home, enterprise AI, Achin was saying, right, like, AI in the hands of an SME, right, a subject matter expert, able to build AI by themselves. I think that's a near-term, it's happening already, but I think that's going to happen at scale. It'll be almost as easy as building a Word document or a PowerPoint, right? I think that's the enterprise opportunity we're looking at. And the last thing I want to say is on talent, and you asked that question, right? I think that's the biggest challenge at this point. I think the two most important things are curiosity and the ability to learn and unlearn and relearn, okay? And if we can get people who can do both, have that curiosity and learn, unlearn, relearn, I think that's the talent the market will be looking for. Hopefully we'll get that $1 million salary.
Perfect. So we had amazing discussion. Our time is up. One question might be? No? Yeah. So, yeah.
So I have a question. So for Akin, so you told us that you used an AI to actually see your term sheets to recognize and extract the data, right? So what do you think, according to any organization who wants to use this AI for any process, right? What are those 3 parameters they have to keep in mind before like using AI for their process?
Good question. So 3 parameters. I don't know if I have 3, but generally I think so. I'd say one is tinker with it, right? So we weren't looking for a perfect solution on day one. We went with the approach that let's get an initial prototype up and running, and then we keep iterating and keep improving upon it, right? So that was one. The second thing, and again, different context, right? So here, my colleagues on the panel talked about agentic AI. I didn't talk about that because we are very much, I mean, with the large dollar volumes that we have, right? We are not there yet in terms of letting an agent just run, right? So we very much are using the human in the loop model, right? So somebody checks the AI output. So that's the second one. And then the third one, I'd say, well, controls, right? So we are the World Bank being an international organization, we are not regulated like the other banks are, but we have very strong controls environments. So we worked very closely with our risk and controls teams to make sure nothing was being sacrificed from that point of view, right? So the end result does not change. The way we are getting there is becoming much faster.
Last question. Unfortunately, we don't have time.
So I'm the founder of Rajagopal Labs, and we are working on agentic payments as well as a stablecoin orchestration layer. So I want to talk about Visa, right? So you guys have acted as a settlement network for so long, and now you guys are settling volume on blockchains as well, on stablecoins as well. So how do you see that revolution coming? Because being a network for the banks versus now running volumes through stablecoin rails. What do you think about that revolution that's coming on?
Sorry, I will not be able to answer a question around stable coins. Maybe a different question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
One more question we can take in here. Yes.
This is for Rajagopal sir. What is Visa's liability and consumer protection framework if an agent executes a wrong or fraudulent transaction?
So thank you for that question. So before I go into the liability framework, I just want to address the fact that the way we are building the framework that we are rolling out, actually we expect that scenario to be very minimal. Why I say that is, there are very strong controls that we are putting in, which doesn't actually, which reduces the risk. For example, any AI agent as maybe a chat GPT or first the human needs to authorize the agent to purchase. So it's AI ready cards, tokenization of the card needs to be done, number one. Before every transaction, the human is in the loop. The human, for example, tells ChatGPT or Perplexity that I want you to go and buy a red shirt for less than 1,000 rupees. And you can also specify buy it from Flipkart, Hamleys, etc., etc. So there is a human instruction that is given, which is authenticated with the human's biometric or the device-based unlock method. Secondly, then the agent is expected to relay and take the confirmation from the human. Hey, you told me this in natural language. Is this what I can go and buy with search in the internet and buy on your behalf? And what the agent, so we track what the human tells the agent, and we also check whether the consumer has confirmed this to the agent. And then finally, we also see what the agent is buying through enriched information. So there is an extended, in fact, there is more amount of checks that we have now with Agentic AI in the solution that we are putting in, that we expect actually that this level of changes in disputes and liabilities will be not needed to be invoked. That said, there will definitely be a look at what happens despite all of these checks being there if there is a dispute tomorrow, right? Like, so while the eventuality will be less, it's at the pilot stage that we are there right now in the US market. We do expect that with these checks, the disputes will not increase. It will in fact be stable or lesser. We will, as we roll out into each market, basis the stakeholder discussions and the regulatory discussions, we will fine tune that.
Thanks everyone for your time today. Thanks.